allegiance for everybody?
Certainly. I
Okay.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dave. Then we'll get into the additions or corrections to the agenda. Do we have any from the trustees?
Just know that we want to have an executive session at its place on the agenda for purposes of employment, I believe.
Okay. And Jack Rupp, I think you're out there. Is there anything from the fire department that we need to adjust on the agenda?
I'll have one additional agenda, and I'll discuss that when we come to it.
Okay. It's an agenda item, but it's not on the agenda.
Well, it's a last minute agenda item.
Okay. Okay. Does the administrator have anything for updated to the agenda this evening?
Just to note that there is an additional executive session request regarding employment for the fire department.
Yeah, that's the one I was referring to.
Okay.
Having a hard time hearing you, Ben.
Dave covered it. Mr. Olmsted covered it.
Okay. Okay. I'm not quite sure if it's your mic or you're a little farther from it or what. Okay. And how about the fiscal office? Do we have any additions or corrections?
No agenda items, Dave.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's go ahead and if you could pull up the pending warrants for me, Ben. And does the trustees have any questions for the pending warrants?
Let's see. I had one, and that was hey, Jack, on that on the fan people, was that just a late invoice coming in? I know that fan's been installed for a while. The $3,100.
That actually was the second fan. So there were two in the original quote. So
okay.
The one that you're seeing there is the second one that was installed.
As long as it was part of the original product project.
Yeah,
that's
it was.
Yep, I just saw that pop in. It seemed like it was kind of late. And then Eden Plumbing is all finished up with the hot water system, and we're paying them.
Correct.
Beautiful. That's all I had.
Very good. All right, I have pending warrants in front of us tonight for $316,830.17. Also move.
I will second that.
All in favor, please say yes. Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, that gets us down to, I'm sorry, Ben, I skipped over the approval of minutes from March 17th. Our St. Patrick's Day meeting.
Yep.
Does the trustees have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I don't have anything.
Nor do I. Dave, you want to give me a motion?
Sure, I move adoption of the meeting minutes from the March 17th meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor say yes. Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. All right, I think that gets us back on track. That gets us to the item number 6, a resolution of commendation for Mr. Rick Whelan. I don't know if Rick is with us tonight. Rick, are you out there anywhere? I don't hear Rick. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and read the actual letter of commendation here. It's resolution number 210407Z1. It's a resolution of commendation, whereas Rick Whelan has served as a member of our Plain Township Zoning Commission since May 16th, 2000. And whereas Rick Whelan has served faithfully and dutiful on the Plain Township Zoning Commission for over 20 years. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of the Plain Township Trustees, Franklin County, Ohio, that Rick Whelan be recognized for his outstanding service as a member of the Plain Township Zoning Commission, and that on behalf of the citizens of the Plain Township, as well as for ourselves individually, we wish to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude for his contributions to the township and the community. And I will say, Rick took his job very seriously. He was engaged. He was always bringing issues or opportunities to our attention. And I want to personally thank him for everything he's done for our community.
Yeah, and I would just like to echo that, Dave. You know, we have a challenge oftentimes in getting people to serve on boards and commissions, and certainly appreciate people like Rick who dedicated so much time to service to the zoning commission, and definitely appreciate all of his service.
Ben, I'll make sure that you get this to him, and really appreciate everything that he's done. Okay, if we can go back to the agenda, please. I think the next item we have is our city liaison, Mike Durick. Mike, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey, Mike.
Very good.
Doing well, thanks.
Good, good. Well, we had a lengthy council meeting, just a lot of items yesterday. Touch on a couple of things. One, we did authorize Joe, the city manager, to enter into an agreement for the purchase and installation of a solar power system that will go on top of the public service facility. Probably be about 90 days before that gets installed, but it's expected that that should supply more than half of the electricity needs of the service building. It's a fairly long payback, but in terms of our mission for sustainable energy, we thought it was a worthwhile endeavor. So
What was the capital cost for that, Mike?
$231,000. It's expected to be about a 23-year payback. Basically, it's going to save us about $10,000 a year. It's a long payback on it, but it's kind of consistent, sending a message on sustainable energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, and we're fortunate that the building actually faces and angled in the right direction. We didn't have to worry too much about that. So that worked out really well. The other thing we did also authorize Joe and the city to participate in the ODOT road salt purchase program again this year. Just as a point of information, in this past winter, we used up 2,429 tons of salt for 21 different events that they went out on. Last year, there were 14 events and we only used 1,127 tons of salt. So this was clearly, over the last 5 years, the biggest year in terms of salt usage. I think back in 16 and 17, we only used like 900 tons. So it was pretty light that year, but this was the biggest year. And it was running about $64 a ton. Who knows what it'll be as we go out to bid, but we'll be participating in the ODOT. And I think you guys used about 105 tons, according to what Joe mentioned in the meeting.
Yeah, this winter made us a little salty.
Yeah, in many ways, not just the roads, right?
Sorry.
The other thing, we also approved the authorization to go out and bid and work in the collective bid process for our trash removal. Apparently, the city of Columbus has petitioned SWACO to participate in the bid this year when they've typically been on their own. So that's pushing back a little bit of the time, the bid on the recycle portion of it that they would participate in. So that's pushing that a little bit back, but we're going forward in trying to work with the collective group in bidding out the trash removal portion. So just an authorization to go ahead and participate, and we'll see where the outcome is on that. So, and we would not anticipate anything changing, keeping the same day of collection, and we'll see what the pricing will be, to be determined. We approved the go-ahead for bidding on the Ganton Parkway road that I think I mentioned to you at the last meeting. This is south of 161, and it goes west of Beach Road, and it will run adjacent to the Amazon structure that's going to, or building that's going to be put in there. And there's potentially some other opportunities of people looking along those properties as well. So it'll be advantageous for us to consider that. Estimate's probably about 8.7 million for the entire road structure. We've got $700,000 paid by Amazon. We've got another $1 million coming in grant money, so helping to offset some of that. Timeline on it to be determined here, but they're going to start to bid it out. And the only thing that came up right at the end, and I'll be honest and say I'm not as well versed in the legalities of it, but with this House Bill 22 that you've probably all heard about, that the governor vetoed and his veto was overturned, is going to have an impact on a lot of these emergency orders that will end in June or middle of July. And that's going to impact some of the tax collection guidelines and rules. And there's a lot of unintended consequences of them ending this emergency bill, or this bill ending the emergency action. So a lot of that's being sorted out. And Ben may have more information on that. But that was about it.
Hey, Mike, did they happen to mention the Buckeye Institute lawsuit that is moving slowly through the courts there? Because that asks for everything to be rolled back to the beginning, saying that that the governor and the legislature never had the authority to declare the emergency and make people stay in the taxing districts they were in.
Yeah, he didn't say where the outcome of that is. I think
it's still just making its way through the courts, I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues out there, and I think clearly everybody feels that if that were to go forward, it's going to be disruptive to the entire tax system of the state. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
No way to really administer, track people to where they live, to where they work. It's completely disruptive. So don't know, but I think it's to be determined how some of this vetoing of the House bill is going to impact everything.
It would ask, I'm sorry, for those who are not speaking, if you could put your phones on mute, or we're getting some background noise from some phones, it seems here. Thanks, Mike.
And that's about all I've got.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Lot going on. That's good. And
Busy.
yeah, the development seems to be really robust, and it's really going to be interesting. I don't know if you've heard. I'd be interested to hear from you sometime. If you know, have you heard of any companies that are going to rethink their office space that they have currently in our community?
Not from the standpoint, well, the only one is Discover.
Yeah.
Discover is kind of looking at moving their offices down the road here, but none of the others per se. I think when you look at the Beauty Mile, a lot of those are light manufacturing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's any issue there. And most of the others, I think, are keeping their office space, but it's really so early. Many businesses aren't even thinking about going back till end of summer.
Yeah.
So I think we'll know more then, but nobody's come out and said, hey, we're looking at stepping back, how many people are in offices or how much space we're going to utilize at this point.
Yeah, I know that we're looking at a hybrid and we'll be consolidating some leased office spaces throughout the Columbus area, and we'll be putting more people in our New Albany buildings, which will get it probably closer to the max occupancy, but it'll be, again, we'll have people in there. Some days will be, like a Monday, Wednesday schedule. Others will be a Tuesday, Thursday type schedule. So,
Sure. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of businesses looking at hybrids. But I think there's also not anything that I've heard within New Albany, but externally, I know there's a lot of speculation where some businesses are saying we want people to come back into our offices, but there are many people reluctant to do that. And
Right.
there's a certain school of thought that a lot of people who don't want to go back into an office environment may be very popular targets to businesses who are saying, we're okay if you work from home.
Yeah.
It's worked for us. We're happy to do it. And as a recruiting device, I think some of those businesses will find it easy to recruit some talent when they can offer that advantage when other businesses say, come sit in an office. So
I would agree.
out.
Have you heard anything about Abercrombie? Are they anything that they're doing or not
No,
doing?
not really. I think they're just kind of configuring and working, but haven't heard anything, heard from Everett or anybody about what's going on there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That gets us down to our departments. And first up is our illustrious administrator, Mr. Ben Collins, who's always hard at work. Ben, what do you want to report out for us today?
If you're talking, Ben, we can't hear you.
His mic seems to be open. Ben, we can't hear any communication from you.
Oh, now you're on mute. Now you're open.
All right, how about now?
Hey, we got you.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Just want to follow up on Mr. Dirk's comment about the public health orders. Yeah, a total of 18 previously issued health orders were rescinded as of Monday. One of those specifically impacting public pools. So we are trying to track those. There's a new condensed health order regarding masks and social distancing, sanitizing, and some related issues, but it's very, very limited in its extent. Last week, public health was not sure there would be any changes. And then, less than a week later, the state's gone and rescinded 18 orders. So things are changing quickly and somewhat unpredictably, but our staff is working hard to make sure we're providing a safe work environment for all of our employees. And we're planning for the summer pool season. A couple of items before we get to that. Just an update on our HRA program. We're currently right at $25,000 over the 2019 total disbursements. That's matching right in line with the expected increase in the total cost of the insurance plan. So that's a good trade-off. We'll just jump into the pool season. Bonnie and I have been looking at different ways we could schedule swim sessions throughout the day. We looked at, if we do 3 or more swim sessions, or we're just split it into a morning and an afternoon session, kind of looking at what our partners are doing in Central Ohio. And we want to look at that together today. I'll pull that up just for reference. The new health order does away with a timeline for disinfecting surfaces. Previously it said we had to do that every 2 hours. So we were really limited to a 2-hour swim session. But now it's opened up the opportunity to have a longer swim session. Gahanna, for example, is just doing 2 sessions, a morning and afternoon, and I think 3 on the weekends. Bonnie and I are leaning towards the 3 or 2 sessions. A couple of things that will be impactful here. Parking. So even though we're going to have fewer people in the pool at one time, we're going to have all of the people who are in the pool parked, and as they're getting out of the pool and exiting, we'll have all the people who are waiting to come in for their next swim session looking for parking. So I think we're going to have an issue there.
But Ben, won't you have a window in between there because of the cleaning period?
We do. We'll have 30 minutes.
So you could have some people showing up early, but that could give you a buffer on parking, it would seem.
Yeah, the challenge historically is whenever we have to clear the facility, just the time it takes to clear the facility, we're going to have people spread all the way around, the 2 acres of the pool complex. We are actually building a specific exit for the pool. If you've visited our facility, we have a very narrow entryway right now, and we can't get everyone in and out within that 30 minutes. So we'll have a dedicated exit adjacent to the current entrance. Maintenance is working on that. We'll still have our public health required cleaning of high-touch surfaces at the entryway and in restrooms and anything else that's a common surface. As far as concessions, those will be able to operate under the food guidelines that apply to all food service. They feel comfortable moving forward with the setup that they have, and they feel that the window setup they have currently will provide the protection that they need. Bob is still working to see if there's any additional work that they'll need in the concession area. Maintenance has already constructed our barriers at the front desk entryway to protect the CPM staff and our township staff, but just know that we're working on all those different issues. At our last meeting, we approved the membership cost and the daily visit cost. One other thing we need to address rather soon is, do we allow members only to reserve swim sessions, or do we provide a period for the public? Do we do a mix of both? What we're currently looking at very closely is a 48-hour window for members to reserve a swim session and then opening it up to the public the day of, if there are session slots available. Bonnie's been checking in with our members in the Central Ohio Aquatics Roundtable, as well as coordinating with CPM. This is all really new in the past 48 hours. So, I want to get some feedback from the trustees and Bud and anyone else. Do you have any initial thoughts about splitting up the day into swim sessions?
Yeah, Ben, I'll leave it to you and and staff, personally I'll leave it to you guys to make the ultimate decisions. I mean, you're on top of this stuff day in and day out. The general thought that I would have is that, as well, 2 things. One, you mentioned clearing people. You might want to just say that the session ends 15 minutes sooner than it does, to get people out sooner. Sort of like last call at a tavern. To get them moving earlier. But the 2.5 hour session that you have there, especially when you look at the afternoon, that would seem to make sense from giving people a long enough time to enjoy the pool and sort of breaking it off around meal times, so that you could come to the pool and then go home at 1 for lunch, and the next group could come, or 1:30, whatever that is, and be out there for dinner. The one thought that came to mind as we are working with this situation, which is kind of fluid, is that that evening block on that 2.5 hour line there. I would think that might be more adults, doing lap swims or something. So, maybe somebody would come. But if it looked like we just weren't getting enough people to show up in the evenings, to have the flexibility to close off those and just save on staffing, just close the pool earlier, just based on whatever you guys see in attendance trends. So that's my input.
Yeah, I guess mine is until you see what the directives are from the health department, it really kind of makes you continue to go down one path that you might not need to. So I'll just let you continue to monitor and update us as well. But hopefully that this becomes less restrictive because of we're outside and people have their vaccinations, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe I'm optimistic that the restrictions will be a lot less than what we have certainly now.
Well, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, on the occupancy, really the only limitation right now will be the social distancing. So 6 feet for those who are not in the same household. So as we look at the space that we have available and how we can spread our deck furniture out and give people that space, we're still looking at about 250 people that we could admit during each swim session. And we expect that we'll have to, make some adjustments along the way. We're not going to have everything sorted. I'm sure there'll be some changes in the guidelines that come through after we open. Bonnie's done a good job of getting herself ready to be able to enter the rec desk swim sessions. And I guess we'll just continue to update the board. Now, we haven't opened our membership sales yet. Currently, we have a discount through the end of April. I would like to be able to open up those membership sales. Bonnie's getting a number of phone calls, so that would be an action item for the board just to weigh in on that. Any thoughts at this time?
I'm fine. If you guys think that's the appropriate step to take, I'm fine.
Yeah, I think we're pretty confident we're going to have a swim season, and that memberships are an important part of that this year, given what we know with this week's changes. And there's certainly some demand in the community and a lot of interest. And hopefully we'll have a strong membership sales session.
Hey, Ben, you mentioned the capacity is 250 with social distancing. What is the average attendance on like a weekday at the pool? Do you know?
So historically, over the course of the season, over 100 days, the average is a little over 500 a day. It's a little misleading. On a Father's Day weekend, if it's 90 degrees, we might have 1,600 people visit the pool.
Right.
So on average, we could still have a pretty significant volume of visitors, but we won't be able to admit nearly as many as we would on a typical 90-degree day. I
just think a 2-hour window is too limited. I guess I kind of like the idea of a morning and an afternoon session, or at least 3-hour sessions to make it worth coming. I think if you limit it to 2 hours, you will lose out on at least the daily visits, because it would cost me $30 to bring my 2 kids for 2 hours. That just seems like a lot.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an ideal situation, Courtney. Upper Arlington dealt with some similar kind of things last year, and there were people that that chose to attend, and some folks I know that who lived there who hadn't other years decided not to. So
yeah,
trying to make the best of the situation.
The best opportunity would be, so I like the 3-hour swim sessions, 2 of those for the first and second, and maybe a shorter one in the evening. And typically we have more dailies in the evening because we have historically had a twilight rate. And we see sort of a changeover around mealtime. Historically, a lot of our daytime visitors and our members would leave, and we'd have a different group come in for that last 2 hours. Bonnie's been talking with all the folks interested in memberships and kind of gauging their interest. And so we'll continue to work with our previous membership and get what insight we can. And we don't have to finalize that right now. We'll have some flexibility to determine what the best opportunity is. And we'll focus on getting feedback and marketing memberships for the time being. So with that, we have a resolution to approve the May contract payment for Columbus Pool Management. So we'll be continuing our contractual obligations to make those payments. And then the first resolution is for our workers' comp, third-party administration, and our group rating program for the 2022 rating year. That was a $300 increase over the prior year, so right around 4%.
Yeah, I know they've given us good value in the past, on the group rating program. So I don't have any problems with them.
Nor do I. Bud, do you have any comments?
I actually don't have anything to add. It's been a good conversation to hear, but nothing to add on that.
Okay. All right, so that's resolution number 210407A1, a resolution to contract with Sedgwick and enroll in the Ohio Township Association Group Rating Program. I so move.
I will second that.
All in favor say yes. Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Dave, you want to take A2?
Sure. Resolution 210407A2, a resolution to authorize payment to Columbus Pool Management, Inc. for the 2021 pool management fees, and the amount on that is a total of $219,975 for the season, and we're making the first payment of $32,996. I so move.
Yeah, I'm going to second that, but before we vote, I did have one question for Ben on this. So we kind of talked about this last year about, having an epidemic force majeure type in the agreement. Do we have an inclusion in this year's agreement? So if there was another strand or something happened with the epidemic, that we would have the ability to void the contract?
Well, our contract and terms were negotiated in 2019, early 2019 for 19, 20, and 21. And so when we looked last year, we did not have that language included, and we've not amended the contract. Columbus Pool Management didn't have any issues last year with us making the choices that we did. They've been good to work with. And we'll still potentially have the opportunity to adjust our staffing for the pool if that were advantageous, but there is no force majeure clause.
Is that something that we should seek?
Well, I
Or
think it's
basically
something
your
we
explanation
will
is,
certainly include in future contracts. We'll learn from this and adapt.
okay. All those in favor vote yes. Dave?
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
I did see
Okay.
Mr. Whelan joined us, and so hopefully we can acknowledge him in the zoning portion of the meeting. I do have one other item under the administrator for the 45 2nd Street lease space. I did have a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce director, and she did really like the space. Currently they are in the old barber shop down across from the old Duke station. It's maybe 700 square feet of space. She didn't like moving a block away from the village center and the activity that's currently under development there. There were certainly advantages to the township lease space. Currently, the chamber has to rent or borrow space whenever they have a training, a meeting, or a program. But at this time, she was not interested in proceeding with any lease for our space. No additional interest has been received. I did have another conversation with Josh Staley, the owner of the DJ company that's currently Innovate New Albany. He's very much interested in the space. He even asked if it would help to pay for a year in advance. He'd be willing to pay the entire year of rent up front. So he seems very interested in the space. It's really the only lead we have at this time.
And Dave, I know you had some concerns. I'm presuming that we can get the language that we need to, I know there was some new information and excuse me, what you sent Ben related to the noise and whatever. I mean, it seems like he's willing to work with us and pay the rate that was being paid previously. And I mean, I'm fine with moving ahead.
Yes, he was agreeable to the township's concerns about, the activity and amplified music and really just any reasonable limitation he was agreeable to.
Okay.
Are you okay with moving ahead then, Dave, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't have I would per se an issue. It sounds like it'd be a great tenant. It sounds like he's credit worthy. I just, maybe I didn't really understand the extent of their business and how that would be a fit for that location and the type of interactions at that site. I'll trust that Ben's gonna work through those issues, and if Ben's okay, then I'm okay. I think my comments were before more about trying to market the property and cast that broader net. It sounds like Ben's made some efforts in that area, and if they think this is the most viable tenant at this time, then I'll defer to Ben.
Well, based on that, I'll proceed to finalize negotiations with the tenant and bring a lease for approval at the next meeting, assuming they're still interested and ready to proceed, and we'll update the board.
Very good. Thank you. Ben mentioned that we have Mr. Whelan out there. Rick, you out there? Rick Whelan, if you're out there, you might unmute your mic.
Yeah, Dave, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
There we go.
Oh, well, thanks for joining. We did read a resolution of commendation and your appreciation of all your service. And if we could just pull that back up for us, since Rick has joined us. I pardon everybody for having to review this, but Rick, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I just think that knowing you all these years and all that you've done for our community has just been incredible. I made some comments before that we really felt that your engagement has been so significant over the past years, and all the different things you've done in terms of zoning and zoning commission. We just really appreciate it. And I know that you've been very helpful on many areas. And Tom Ripsky told me he enjoyed working with you as well. I know Dave Olmsted really appreciated your hard work, and I'll let him speak for himself. But I just want to thank you for everything you've done. And this letter is a resolution of commendation for everything that you've done for us in this community.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it much.
Yeah, and Rick, certainly appreciate all the years of service that you've had to the Zoning Commission. It's, as you know, I'm sure what a challenge it is sometimes to get people to serve on boards and commissions, and to get them to do so, taking it seriously and discharging the duties well. And you certainly have done that, and really appreciate all your time. And wish you well in the future. Did I hear you're moving up into Harlem Township, or are you moving further away than that?
Yeah, it's going to be Genoa Township over there.
Oh, Genoa.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes away over there off of Red Bank Road.
Well,
Oh, sure.
sorry to lose you from the township, and hope that they treat you well up there.
Yep. I appreciate it. I've had a blast working with everybody around here and stuff. It's been a great learning experience, and I was really fortunate and glad to do it. So,
Well, I agree, and I was just amazed for 20 years, and how that flew by too as well. So
exactly.
it's a lot of
Yep.
volunteering, Rick, and I know that you had a key eye out and were notifying us on many issues or opportunities and things of that nature, and we do appreciate it. And I read this letter of commendation, Rick. I'll be happy to read it again if you would like. It's in the record, but also we'll send you this in the mail as well, and then we'll be making sure you get this. But we do appreciate everything that you've done.
Oh, you're welcome. Everybody's welcome. Like I said, very fortunate to do it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say a few words.
Yes,
in
please.
recognition and thanks to Mr. Wieland. Whenever we had a township project, he was always had taken an interest and lent his experience and insight, from the entryways at Maplewood Cemetery, to the kitchen project at the fire station. When we had the derecho in 2012, he was there to lend assistance for our township facilities. He's just always been ready to lend a hand and help out where he could, and we really appreciate that. Thank you, Rick, for all that you've done. I wish you the best.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, man. Yeah, I hope we can find some young guys to keep up some of that stuff that all of us old school guys were doing. So
You and Don Shoemaker, you guys were trouble together, that's for sure.
yeah,
But,
Mr. Dave Halsey too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yep, good group. It's a good group of people. So I was glad to, like I said, the time went by so fast and still is or whatever, but those were some really good times.
Well, Rick, we thank you and we wish you happy trails and the best. Please don't be a stranger.
Oh,
and,
no. We'll stay in touch.
You bet. You bet. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. You bet. Bye-bye.
So.
Okay, that gets us back onto our agenda. We're down to zoning. We're on the zoning report. Resolution 2107Z1. We have a resolution. We already covered that. We had it on two places on the agenda, huh?
Wanted to make sure we caught it one way or the other. Yeah.
Okay. Well then, good. I'm glad he was able to call in. Anything on the zoning report, Ben, that you or Mary or anybody else wanted to point out?
Well, first I'll just an update on the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have another hearing scheduled this month. Couple of variance applications. You see it there on the report. Our zoning commission does not have any new business, and the Rocky Fork Blacklick Accord voted in favor of supporting the project west of Ace Hardware off of New Albany Road West. And then just to note that we do still have a vacancy on the Rocky Fork Blacklick Accord. We have two township residents who are interested in that. On that situation, we have a holdover who's currently serving, and there's not necessarily a timetable, but hopefully soon we'll go ahead and decide. They're actually, the two interested parties are one from our zoning commission and one from our BZA, but we would have to replace them either way. The other item on our report is today a property at 8008 Morse Road. We've gotten some complaints about some animals that are being raised on this property. It's been on our radar for over a year. I've made several visits to the property. Just in general, This is down on the southeast corner of the township near the intersection of Morse and Babbitt Road. The tenants do not currently own the property. I believe they're in some sort of a land contract acquisition, but they have a number of gardens and planters in the front of the property. And in the back, they are raising, it appears to be ducks and chickens and some goats and perhaps some various different animals over time. There's a 6-acre parcel next door that would be an ideal location to, conduct some of this activity. I tried to work with the tenant to achieve that. It doesn't look like that's taken place, but I know we had someone who was interested in this matter who planned to attend the meeting. From my point of view in reviewing this, the township doesn't have authority under the Ohio Revised Code to specifically prohibit this. The state legislature has been very narrow in what they're allowing townships to regulate as far as agricultural activity. It's only on property that is subdivided and less than an acre. This property does not clearly fall into that category.
And that has to meet both those conditions, been subdivided and less than an acre?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there's a provision that says if it's not in a platted subdivision, it has to be in an area subdivided according to a different section of law. And, when I've tried to enforce this on behalf of townships when I was a civil prosecutor, common pleas judge said, well, it's got to fit both of these, otherwise you don't have authority, and ruled against the township. And so that's the framework that I'm coming from. I would say that this property is not a typical property use for that area. We certainly have properties in the township who are pursuing these type of activities, but for that particular neighborhood, I would say it's not common. And I certainly understand the concerns of the neighbors. We have forwarded some of those concerns to Franklin County Public Health that does have some statutory authority to regulate health-related issues, things like manure and rank odor, if there were insects that were a problem. And so our sanitarian is aware of this, and they're reviewing that within Franklin County Public Health. And that's where we're at today.
So I know, Ben, I was able to pull up off the auditor's site a recent, fairly recent overhead picture of it. I'm not sure if you have that one available, but it does seem that, as you mentioned, the uses around this are more residential than agricultural. But it seems that according to what the revised code and the township zoning permits, there you go, thank you, that the use itself is permitted. Is that correct?
It's more the case that the township doesn't have authority to prohibit it.
Okay, well, a different way of putting it, but so then the issue would be if it's unsanitary conditions or causing a nuisance to the surrounding neighbors, then you mentioned that Franklin County Board of Health might be able to weigh in on it. And other than that, it seems like so many of the other issues we deal with where we've got to try and convince people to be a little more courteous.
Yeah, I've talked to the tenant on a number of occasions and visited the property, and she seemed pleasant enough and answered all of my questions. Was very open about what they were doing. But I think, it's more a case of being a good neighbor and being aware of how the activity is impacting others and what the conditions are on the property. This is an area of the township that has some seasonal water issues with vernal pools, and those impact neighbors as well.
I saw somebody named Brian that joined the meeting. Is that one of the neighbors?
That may
You're on.
be one of the neighbors. We've heard from a few different ones.
Yeah, if you'd like to give us some perspective, you're on mute right now. You're free to take yourself off mute and participate if you'd like.
And can you
Okay.
bring the agenda back up, please?
So I just to finish up with this one, Dave. I mean, I think at least from my perspective, you know, it seems like we can continue to try and influence, but and to engage Franklin County public health, but it doesn't seem like we have any authority to force any change on anybody.
No, right. Can you scroll back down to the on this right here, please? Not the agenda, the zoning report. Okay. Animal waste mineral premises. Okay. No, I think we covered it. If there's any public comments, as Dave mentioned earlier, we'll open up the mic at this point in time. Okay. Let's keep moving then. That gets us down to our road maintenance department. Anything on the road maintenance department that we need to address here? I don't know, Bob. Bob, are you out there?
Yeah.
What's going on with?
Good evening. Well, we've had 4 funerals since the last meeting. We started mowing the cemetery since the last meeting, and we've been hauling dirt off to get rid of it. We started on, as Ben said, putting in an exit gate up at the pool, and we put up sneeze shields around the counter to protect the employees working the front counter and at the pool. That's about it.
How's the pool prep coming?
It's coming along pretty good. We turned all the water on to everything today. Found a couple issues. I got to get a hold of D&L to see if I can get them to replace the fittings in the shower, that the faucet fittings there seem to be where they don't want to shut off very good. So, I mean, it's 20 years old, and it sits dry, you know, 8 months out of the year or 6 months out of the year. You know, they take it apart. We take all the water out of it, and the seals dry out. So,
yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Well, appreciate the hard work and appreciate the update.
all righty.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay.
Bobby. Appreciate it.
And that gets us down to the fire department. Jack, I'll let you update the board with anything that you'd like, please.
Well, good evening, everybody. I apologize for being vague for my addition, but I wanted to make certain that the fire station was out there and listening. Is the reason I was vague is we want to recognize Captain Dudley for 25 years of service. He actually completed his 25 years of service on December 30th. The unit and I went together to have a plaque made for him that is a helmet shield, and then the service for his 25 years. And it took us quite a bit of time for that shield to come in. And then once the shield came in, to get it attached to a plaque. So we actually, firefighter Cantrell picked it up for us today. And so at the firehouse tonight, they're planning to give him that plaque, and they have a cake there for him, and to celebrate his 25 years with the department.
Did he start when he was 10? Good Lord. Well, if the firehouse is on the line, hey, congratulations, Travis. Well done. You certainly don't look like you've been around for 25 years. You got us all beat on the youthful appearance, that's for sure. Thank you for all those years of service.
All right, we have our report, and we've since March 12th through the April 2nd, we've had 89 EMS runs, 49 fire runs during that time period. So I didn't know if there was any questions on the runs or the report. We have 3 resolutions in front of you tonight. F1, which is our share of the MEC, EMS, and medical directors fees. F2, which is for PDS system, and they are supplying the alarm equipment, the devices for the replacement of the fire alarm system from the FEMA grant. And then F3, which is Pillar Fire Protection System, who is going to be doing the installation. And then Ben has some discussion about the station roof project. We have some about part-time firefighters and the Discover card support.
Very good. Do you want to get into the resolutions now, Jack?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. The first resolution we have here is number 210407 F1, a resolution to pay for the medical director. This is our share, which is $25,000. I so move.
I gladly second it, and thanks to Dr. Zeeb and all of his partners for the excellent work that they provide.
Yep. And actually, this year during the startup of the COVID efforts, he actually his group allowed him to work full time for about a 3-week period, and and we were able to offset that, but it was very nominal for him to be fully devoted to us during the initial stages of COVID.
Very good.
We do expect next year that, we've had 8 years with no increase. I think that I sent you an email to that. We do expect an increase next year, but just based upon the addition of some other members in that and the carryovers, that we don't believe that will be passed on to the member departments.
Okay, I think we have a first and a second. Now we need a vote for that. All in favor, vote yes. Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Our next resolution, please.
That's F2.
Yep, Dave, you want to take this?
Sure. Resolution 210407 F2, resolution to pay PDS Systems. This is $13,509.39 for the new, excuse me, fire alarm system. I so move.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor, say yes, Dave.
Yes.
And I'll say yes as well.
Excuse me.
This is F3. Go ahead, Jack.
No, I was going to say, and then F3 is the installation of the system.
Okay. Resolution. No.
You're on mute, Dave.
Oh, thank you. Sitting there talking away. Resolution number 210407 F3, a resolution to pay Filer Fire Protection for $17,550 for the installation of a notifier of the fire alarm system. Also move.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say yes. Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well.
And I would like to mention that Fire Marshal Guthrie worked very hard. Normally, we would end up and probably have just one resolution for an installer to provide the devices and everything like that. But working the way that he did, that this actually saved us quite a bit of money to be able to work with a device provider and an installer. So we'll actually request to FEMA of money that will be left over that we can purchase some radios with.
Oh, great. Well, thanks to Terry for his hard work there.
You got it.
And then the next thing on the agenda is the station roof project, and Ben has an update on that.
Yeah, so we have had two different firms kind of investigate the current conditions for the station roof and report back to us. And we're at the point where we were requesting proposals for consulting services, for the design, bidding, and construction inspection. We have one proposal back. It's currently being finalized. I've got requests out to two other firms and waiting for a response from a fourth firm if they're going to be interested in this work or not. Not every engineering design firm has a building envelope component, and this type of work is typically outside of your average architectural firm. And so we want to have a number of competing quotes because the cost is substantial. It's well below the $50,000 threshold for competitive bidding, but it's still a sizable cost. And we expect the total cost of this project to be anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000. The RFPs are requesting proposals back by the end of the month so that we can review those and make a decision and award the consulting services at the first meeting in May. Just to give you an idea, the first proposal is in the $25,000 range.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a great investment in this project to make sure that we get done what we need to get done and get it done right.
That's all that I have.
Jack?
And the next thing that we have is the hiring of part-time firefighters. And I suppose you want to do that in the executive session. We have 5 full-time members from other departments that are willing to work for us on a part-time basis.
Yeah, we can talk about that then.
And then the last thing is I sent you an email on Discover Card and their donation this year. And
Yes.
that, hopefully that won't be our last donation from them with, them looking to move their offices, but I wouldn't be surprised if it certainly will affect it in the future. But they've been very gracious with us to support us. And this year that, they're providing the UCAP machine, which is a pharmaceutical vending machine basically, but it has various levels of security. So it will help us with security and inventory control and ordering.
Right. Jack, have you heard what they're going to do with that building?
I have not. I mean, they're looking to sell it. And I know at least that what we've heard from them is that it kind of sounds like a lot of the call center employees will, either work from another facility or work from home, and then that management, HR, IT, and those will be housed in an office space of a much smaller variety.
Was there something in the news about that? If there was, I missed it. Like local, I don't read this week, but I didn't know if there was some news out there.
I don't remember, Dave, to be honest with you. I know I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I don't know if it was in the papers or not.
Yeah, I don't know if it was in the papers or not, but we were doing, we've done our walkthroughs and everything like that through the building. And so with the relationship that we have with them, and particularly with the security folks, that was some of the information that exchanged with us.
Yeah, because don't they have a data center there?
Yeah, the data center is a separate building. It's to the north of the existing building. And the data center, at least what we understand, the data center is going to stay there.
Oh, okay.
Entirety.
Yeah, well, they have been so generous throughout the years, and it would be a shame to see them exit the city, but certainly appreciate all their support and all of the additional tools and training devices that we've been able to equip the fire department with because of their generosity. So
Yeah.
I know you always send a letter and say thank you, but publicly, thank you.
No question. Appreciate it, Jack. Great report. Anything else before I move on to the Township Fiscal Office?
No, sir.
Great job. Appreciate all you're doing too, Jack. We'll have to get coffee soon.
Okay.
Let's get to the the Township Fiscal Office. Bud, I'll turn the mic over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to have Courtney jump in on a couple of things. What we've got tonight is the first half property tax distributions and credit card statements. But Courtney wanted to update you on a couple of things, so I will allow her to jump in here and do just that.
Okay, Courtney?
Are you around?
I am. Just wanted to let the board know that VIP is switching over their cloud hosting. In the past, we currently are with Virium. It's just who they use to host, but they are switching over to they're calling it their VIP cloud, but it's Amazon that is actually hosting it. There's no additional cost to the township, and our current contract, I have to sign a new contract with them because they are switching the hosting, but there's no additional cost. We're paid currently through the end of October, and then we will be receiving a new invoice at that point.
And Courtney, are you routing that contract through Ben? Because I think ultimately the trustees have to delegate responsibility to sign off on those, don't we, Ben? You're on mute. Oh, there you go, Ben.
Yeah, typically if it was something that was going to extend the term or increase the cost, it's certainly something we would present to the board for approval. Courtney and I have reviewed this together, and really they did not send a contract addendum. They just sent sort of like a notice update about the waivers. I didn't see anything that would prompt a resolution on this one, but we have to look together.
Yeah, as long as, I just want to be clear on whether or not it was a new contract, because I know that we always seem to have to do those.
Okay, anything else from Courtney?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay, first half taxes?
First half property tax. So I did just want to share that with the board. We circulated that, but she did put together a spreadsheet, and very favorable first half collection. We're still not sure if the increase is due to catch-up payments, delinquent payments that have actually been brought current, but there's a 18% increase on the general fund, a 9% increase on the fire fund, and a 27% increase on the roads fund.
But the general fund is up $71,000 over first half of 2020, right?
Correct.
So so it could be delinquencies, it could be a lot of things, but it's nice to see, that's for sure.
It's a good thing.
Considering what the trend has been. And then the first half TIF is 616 from the, oh no, I'm sorry, the TIF is blank there, okay.
And we still have some pending discussions.
I think Courtney was looking into that today. Courtney, did you have any updates on the TIF money from New Albany?
No, so last year we received this on April 6th of 2020. To date, we have not received the TIF payment for this year.
Okay. Well, if they don't send it over, we'll sick Mr. Dirk on them.
I didn't know if Ben had had any conversation with anyone over there at New Albany. And again, it's only a day difference, so maybe by the end of the week we'll get that distribution, and we'll update the board obviously as soon as we do. But that's what we've got for you so far.
Good.
Okay. Bank statement.
Yeah, Courtney. So I saw the Huntington statement, and I was fine with that. When the Home Depot statement, I think it is. Normally there's invoices attached to that that just have what they were. That wasn't in.
I can forward that to the board. I tried doing it. I think I was trying to send it Tuesday before I left, and the file was just too large.
Oh, that's fine.
The email wasn't going through for both of the credit cards. But I'll try to send them individually or see if I can condense it so that you guys can see the receipts.
Yeah, it's usually possible on the copy machine, or when it's scanning the copy, and sometimes there's, like on ours at work, we can turn down the resolution to cut down on the file size. I'm not sure what ours, the townships does, but
I'll try to send that first thing in the morning so you can see the receipts.
okay, great, thank you.
He's just worried that his home improvements will show up on there.
I know. You should see what Bobby's building in back of my house. At the price of lumber, God.
Appreciate it, Courtney, and appreciate the property tax update. Just one thing, Ben, we probably need to keep on our radar the conversations of those TIFs with the city and some of those communities that we were talking about.
Yeah, Joe and I, the city manager and I review those. I've talked about those with Bethany, the city's finance director. Mostly we just want to understand what the situation is and see what the opportunities are. And yes, the township has a ongoing request to treat all residential TIFs like the other 10 historic residential TIFs.
Let's maybe get with Mike Dirk on that and see if we can convene on that a little bit more.
Okay.
Yep, just let me know what we need to do, Ben, or to coordinate with Joe or whatever you guys need.
Yeah, I think maybe by just bringing Mike up to date on it and getting him involved a little bit, or getting his perspective would be helpful. And then we can follow back up with Joe and Mike if need be. Great. Let's keep moving here. That gets us to the trustees. Dave, did you have anything for the board?
I don't, other than to give you a heads up, Dave. I sent a new link for the executive session.
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure
Okay.
you got that. And
Okay.
if all else fails, there's a phone number on there and a code that you can use to dial in. I'm technologically challenged for some reason this evening. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, it happens. Okay, I don't really have anything either. Old business,
None.
new business,
None.
citizens' comments. Hearing none citizens' comments, I'm going to move that we proceed to executive session. Do I have a second?
I will second, and I'll make that pursuant to ORC 121.22G1 for purposes of employment.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Olmsted,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
time is 8:15.
Okey-doke.
So why don't we have Mr. Collins, Chief Rupp, and Bud Zeppatelli join us for executive session, please.
And the meeting is open on the other side there. So I'm just gonna I can run both of them at once. So I'm gonna hang out here in case somebody can't get in. Text me or let me know, and we'll make this work. Okay, we're coming back.
Almost like I never left.
It does seem that way. Let's see, still waiting on Dave.
Well, I hope he comes back.
Yeah, I know, because I can't end this by myself. Oh, here he comes, I think. Yep. So I would move that we come out of executive session.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor, please say yes. Dave?
Yes.
And I'll say yes as well, and then I'll motion to adjourn.
Well, we first have to have a roll call for leaving executive
Oh,
session. Right?
Oh,
true,
yeah,
sorry.
thank you. Roll call, please.
I have a purpose, guys. Yes, it is 8:49, and Mr. Olmsted,
Yes, I always love it when you call out the time.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes, and I apologize. It's been a long day. So,
No problem.
Okay,
any
so
other comments or anything else I need to address before we close out?
I have nothing else.
All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll go ahead. I'll motion for adjournment.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
And good evening, all.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Night.